double biceps. It is in the contract, a legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. The man to my left, but it could be to your right, depending on what screen you are looking at. It is the master of disaster, the king of steam, the Count of Monte Cristo. It is the Siberian Bull. It is Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year. I've just got to stop looking at you when I do this. It's the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. The illustrious award held by the illustrious man with the illustrious beard. It is none other than your friend and mine. It is Dave Stockbridge.
Well, Hollywood Matt Connelly, welcome. I feel so welcome. This is an absolute privilege to be with you on Arm Wrestling tonight. 5 nights a week, that is 5 nights a week, half an hour, little doses of arm wrestling for fans out there of whatever is going on in the world of arm wrestling. And well, we've got a little bit going on in the world of AWE, and so that's certainly what we're here to share with you tonight. Many of you be aware of AWE Grand Prix 3 is taking place here in Adelaide. If you don't know where Adelaide is, look at a map of Australia, go to the middle, then go down as far as you can go just before you get to the ocean. That's Adelaide, and that is where the AWE Grand Prix is taking place, 23rd of March. So we're now only 3 weeks away. This is the 85 kilo Grand Prix for the AWE middleweight belt. This is a newly issued belt for the middleweight champion, and we have 8 top competitors hailing from, well, right across the country, right across the region. So we have Guy Tanapat, who is a Thai arm wrestling superstar, verifiably so, with 350,000 followers on TikTok. He's got over 217,000 followers on Instagram. He is one of the most followed athletes on the planet, and he is going to be here in Adelaide signing autographs, pulling some of the best up-and-coming talent at 85 kilos from around the country. City number 1 is Taryn Broad. We've also got Gigi Yu making his way over the ocean from Singapore to make his mark on the international stage. And, of course, we've got a bevy of Australian talent, as well as SK, who he's making his way via Brisbane from South Korea. He has been a staple on AWE now for a couple of years. He's also reffed for us on a couple of occasions, but on this occasion, he will be tableside taking on some of the best from around the region. Hollywood Matt Connelly, there's a lot to look forward to and a lot of great talent, but that is not all. The steak knives in this occasion. Rickett Borman versus Brett Coots on left hand. Now, those 2 men were announced to be on the podcast tonight. Both men will be appearing on Wednesday night now on the podcast. But I tell you what, that will decide who is the strongest man in the AWE on left arm. This is going to be absolutely massive, and we'll answer a lot of questions, and is a match with international implications. Rickett Borman's star is rising. Brett Coots he's an established name here in Australia, but looking to make his way onto the international stage. And you'd imagine a big win here would take the 47-year-old from Australia and into the global arm wrestling stratosphere, where he could take on some of the very, very best in the world. Hollywood Matt Connelly, what are your thoughts on the event?
Oh, it's going to be massive. As you said, I mean, we've got in the Oceanic region some of the absolute best of the best people that are going to be competing in this tournament, and it's going to be fantastic to see. Well, one of the big things for me is like answering that question as to, well, what level, like if you're number 1 in Thailand, like Guy Tanapan, it is, what does that mean for us here in Australia? Does that mean that he's way above where we are, or does that mean that he's on equal, or is his level beneath? We don't know. It's one of the big questions. I was talking to Taryn Broad, the number 1 seed, about this, and it was like it's just that unknown factor. It's like we really don't know his level until we get on the table with him and grip up, because when you look at the competition that he's going against, it's like we're not really sure we're not as familiar with that scene, so it can be hard to judge. Whereas when you look at a lot of the European stuff, and it's like, okay, well, we're seeing him going against somebody that we know is phenomenal and he's doing really well. So it gives you a better idea as to what level they would be at. But this is a lot of question marks about this. it's going in where you've got Taron Broad as the number 1 seed, but then there's a lot of question marks as to, well, we don't really know what the other guys' levels are at compared to everyone else. So it's going to be a little bit of guesswork on the seeding there, but very excited, especially for the main event of Brett Coots and Rickard Bornman, which is going to be an incredible match. Rickard Bornman coming off of a big victory over in New Jersey at the Knuckles Up event against Don Hollywood Underwood. And yes, being incredibly dominant. So dominant that Don, I think, basically conceded the last round. So he's on a tear at the moment. But the interesting factor here is that it is on his left arm, this match. We haven't seen a lot of his left arm. We've always seen his right.
We did see him on the left against Marcus Satira. Now, that match was originally with Brett Coots.
Yes.
But Brett was carrying some injuries coming into that event and just didn't want to risk it too much. And so withdrew the night before. And Marcus Satira, what a legend, just said, I don't care. I'm on the table. I'll do it. No worries. And jumped on, performed admirably. But Rickard just had the better of him on that day. Although it was a good match, it did kind of lean in the direction that a lot of people thought it would. But there's still that question, isn't it? We've got Brett Coots, who has been dominant on left for a very, very long time here in Australia. He's a multiple Australian champion, multiple-time Australian champion. It doesn't matter. It's heavyweight, super heavyweight. He has been the man on left for a very, very long time. And we did see him at AWE T-Series in Brisbane on Australia Day last year take on Bowen Quintado. And Bowen Quintado performed exceptionally well. And early on, even seemed to have the better of Brett. And had his hand. Look, you can see right there as well. Bowen Quintado is an absolute beast of a young man, 6'5", and still so young. He's in his early 20s, and his best is certainly still to come. You would imagine. He's still got some growing to do, unbelievably, and still so strong. Even at this tender age, Australian wood chopping champion. It seems to be in the family, the wood chopping, and when you've got that long lever and those strong hands and that strong wrist that you need for wood chopping, all of that's transferable to the table. And here you go. Brett isn't just able to pull through, and right here you've got Bowen just leaning over, maybe not being quite as patient as he could have been. And here we got Brett as he starts to transfer into that press and thinking himself a little bit lucky at that stage as well to make his way through. But this was a real test for Brett, and I think that originally we had Lachlan Adair lined up for this particular left hand match against Brett, but back in those days, there was all those contractual difficulties and made it a little bit difficult for Lachlan to be there, and so we had to go searching for a worthy opponent. And I tell you what, Bowen Quintado was certainly that. And I would love to see Bowen on the table again in, say, 6 months' time, taking on whoever it is that wins this match on left arm on the 23rd of March.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot believe that Brett pulled that back from that first round. Let me just bring that back up again, because that's one of the most incredible things I've seen. So
Bowen had everything. He
did.
It all, didn't
he had the momentum in it. So you see here, Alton start, he gets the hit, he gets hand control, he's in that top roll position, and he's got everything he needs here, and Brett manages to side pressure back to the center. Bowen puts the pressure back on, gets on top of the hand. He's got everything he needs there, but he's trying to press. Look at Brett's wrist. It's still, and he brings it back to the center somehow.
Right there he goes.
Gets his shoulder in. I can't believe
and almost throws Bowen off the table.
Yes. Incredible.
There's some horsepower there, and we're looking at Brett Coots. He somehow always looks like he is in the best form of his life. Each and every time he dons an AWE shirt, he looks even more impressive than the last time we saw him. And I mean, he is 47 years old now. He has been at the top of the arm wrestling tree here in Australia for many years, for over a decade now, and he's performed internationally. He's one of those guys that you kind of feel if he was maybe 5 years younger or look at this. This is insane. This is insane, and pulls it back from there. This is it's just incredible. It's just incredible. And at this stage, I was thinking, what else could I do? What other tools do I have in the box? What can I pull out next? Do I have anything that's going to work here? And I guess this is where Brett's experience really paid dividends. He stayed cool under pressure. Bowen here, very fired up. He knows he was being so close on 2 occasions already, only to have victory snatched from him from the most unlikely of positions. And but
it really was. It really was. It was. I can't believe Brett was able to do it, and consistently. It was absolutely amazing. Let's see if we get the last round started here.
We would suggest to everybody to head over to AWE Underground and just check this match out one more time if you want a bit of an idea as to how Brett can get out of some pretty bad situations. And look at this! It's literally just pulled through the entire body weight of 6'5" Bowen Cantado. I think he walked away with a little twinge. He's just explaining to Ryan as he moves away from the table.
My God.
It's just incredible. He is a phenomenon, and we can't wait to see Brett Coots back on the AWE table. He really is something special, and we feel that this is a matchup either way that's going to lead. If Rickett wins, I mean, he's already on a trajectory. He's already on a path to international superstardom. Brett Coots deserves very much the same opportunity, and it'll be wonderful to see Brett's name in lights on some of the biggest stages around the world. And for him to kind of get there, he just needs to win against a big name or two, and he will be certainly he's more than up to the task, and I think would be a spectacular addition to the names that we're seeing on some of the biggest cards in the world.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, for sure. It's one of those things with Brett Coots. It's like he has this phenomenal record. I mean, he's got matches with Ron Barth, and he's been pulling for like, I don't know, what did he say, 17 years or something. And at the absolute pinnacle of the sport in terms of Australian arm wrestling, and I know he went over to, was it Philippines? Yeah, somewhere like that. And I don't think he had. I think that was his first experience with arm wrestling, and he won like $10,000 or something crazy.
Yeah, he won $10,000 in the jungles of the Philippines in some underground match against the Philippines' best.
Yeah,
somehow got out of the country with all of that money, and somehow got into the country with all of that money. I think the story actually goes that he'd blown the engine up on his car not long before. Very similar to Lachlan Adair.
Really?
Adair had a similar situation where he actually needed the money, and Lachlan Adair then won over the top because he needed it. He needed to win that. He had a car to fix, otherwise he wasn't going to work. Right. Yeah, don't you love those stories? Absolute legendary stories. And Brett is a legendary arm wrestler, and we can't wait to see what happens at AWE Grand Prix 3. So it's not all the way. I mean, we talk about the big left arm matchup with international implications. We talk about the 85 kilo Grand Prix with some great international talent there. But that is not all Hollywood, Matt Connelly. There is the Titans Open that is taking place, which is a near annual competition that takes place here in South Australia. And this is where any amateur from around the country, around the world, can come here and try and make the trophy their very own. There'll be 3 weight categories, and so everybody's going to have a chance to win, and that will be taking place directly after the professionals have been on stage, and all will be recorded. So any budding arm wrestling superstars, those people that are trying to build a profile, trying to build a name for themselves in the sport, well, you'll be under the big bright lights of AWE. You'll be competing on the same table as we are looking at right now, and in a beautiful professional setting, and you'll have plenty of content to be able to share and build that social media profile that we love at AWE. We want to showcase athletes, and not only that, we want to give athletes a platform so that they can show the world what it is that they do, and hopefully one day make a living out of the sport, just like Guy Tanapat.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're 100% correct. And I love the fact that Guy has gone out and sort of conquered that social media side of things, and he's constantly putting up stuff. He's built himself an audience, and he's not only phenomenal on the table. I mean, he's number one in his country, but he's also promoting himself very effectively. So when an organization such as ourselves is like, well, we want to put on a big event and we want to invite the best people, and it's like, well, this guy here, he's not only fantastic, he has a huge audience that he's going to be bringing that are very interested in what he does. It's like, that's the ultimate right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's several fold, isn't it? So you've got guys that are really good on the table, but don't have a social media presence, don't do anything in order to build their own profile, and then have a bit of a whinge when they don't get the opportunities, or when promoters don't come knocking. Also, you have those athletes that are really good on the table, but they're not good at almost anything else, and they are reticent to accept opportunities when provided. And so those athletes, unfortunately, they're just going to be forgotten to the sport, because when opportunity comes knocking and a promoter says, hey, here's a chance, you got to grab those chances. I mean, how many promotions are in the world of arm wrestling? There just aren't many. And then when you try to work out, how many opportunities are there in Australia, well, in terms of big stages, there are hardly any. They're few and far between. And so, at the end of the day, if you want to be one of those athletes that's considered in the mix, if you want to be one of those athletes that are part of the conversation and that are creating opportunities, then you got to make the absolute most of it. And that's what we love about some of these guys that are performing on this card. There's a lot of athletes that are good arm wrestlers, great names, just sometimes too afraid to jump on the table. If they're not 100% primed and prepared, or they get a little niggle, they don't want to do it, or so and so's got a birthday and they don't want to miss out, or something. There's all these excuses, but then the same people have a big fat massive whinge when they go, oh, nobody does anything for the middleweights. It's like, well, guess what? There's a stage, we're providing it, and those that are jumping on and making the most of it are going to be those that get catapulted into the stratosphere. They're going to be those that the rest of the world knows about. They're going to be those that we're talking about for months and months and months after the event. They're going to be the ones that we're going to be working extra hard for to get onto the biggest cards around the world, and who we can then say to other promoters, because I'll tell you the one thing that promoters absolutely hate. They hate prima donnas. They hate athletes that are difficult to work with. They hate athletes that are unreliable and ungrateful. And so when other promoters say to us, hey, what about so-and-so? What do you think about this guy? And we're able to say, they promote the event, they promote themselves. Whenever we ask them for content, they provide it. They're easy to work with. They turn up on time. They turn up and show. Even if they're not feeling 100%, they're still there and giving it their absolute all. That's what every promoter wants to hear. They don't want to hear, hey, if all things being right and all things being equal, and given all the right set of circumstances and the perfect environment, they can be the best in the world. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care at all about that. What they care about is they're going to turn up on time. They're going to give their all. They're going to put on a show, and they're going to promote the hell out of the event. And the rest is very, very secondary. So, it's one of those things. At AWE, we pride ourselves on providing opportunity for athletes, and we're very, very grateful and thankful to those athletes that have jumped on to this event and are making this a platform for themselves. And we will be working tirelessly to ensure that all of these athletes that turn up to this event, not just those on the 85 kilo table, of course, but those athletes that turn up, those amateurs that turn up at the Titans. We're on the search for superstars. We want to see great local talent come along, give it their absolute best. We're searching for those guys that want to be a part of the AWE community, that want to further themselves in the sport, and who want to see themselves in the future being an athlete in arm wrestling. We want to guide those people. We want to assist those people. We want to do everything we can to make sure that those guys have the very best chances in the sport.
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference when you give an opportunity to somebody, or you reach out and it's like, okay, we'd love you to be on the card. And not only are they excited about it, but they're like sharing all the content. They're putting up their own stuff about how they're training for the event. They're promoting it. It's like, well, wow, thank you so much for doing all of that, because it really shows that you want this to be successful. And from our side of things, it's like it all of those things help. And I mean, there are athletes that are just like, hey, I'm just an athlete, I just turn up and compete. And it's like, well, you are in a way restricting yourself with that attitude, because unless you're phenomenal and everyone just agrees that, yeah, okay, well, you've always got to have this guy on the card, and yeah, he's not going to promote it. He's just going to turn up. And it's like, all right, well, we accept that. But even when you've got people like, well, let's say with Larry Wheels, when he came over to Over the Top, and one of the agreements is, we need you to do this many posts and this many things about it and promote it, and because we'll pay your flights and whatever it was, accommodation and that sort of thing. And yes, we want you to compete. It's amazing that you'll be here, but we require you to do some stuff for us, which is, to your audience, please put it out there that this is an event that you should be interested in, that it's like you have a vested interest in it because you're competing. Not only is it an interest just because it's something that you'll be going to compete in, but it's you will get a benefit from it as well as the promoter as well.
Yeah, I love what Arnold Schwarzenegger says in this topic, and I know you've read the book as well, Matt, where Arnold talks about how it doesn't matter how bad a movie might be, he'll make every movie a success through promoting the hell out of it. He'll take his brand and his celebrity, and he'll leverage that so that it doesn't matter if the movie's dog shit, just because he's out talking about it, just because because he's believing in it and sharing, he's talking to the world about it. There's just too much attention on Arnold Schwarzenegger for people to ignore this movie release.
Yeah.
And he was say, even if a movie bombed in the theaters, he would take it upon himself to go and promote it, so that when it hit DVD or when it goes on the live streaming platforms, he is still talking about it. He is still going on the chat shows. He's talking about maybe 2 or 3 movies at the same time. But he's putting himself out there, making sure he's in the news, making sure he's part of the conversation. And that is why Arnold Schwarzenegger is not the best actor in the world. I don't know if you've noticed this, but he's not the best. Oh, no, bombshell.
What?
He's not the best actor in the world, but he is without doubt one of the very best promoters in the world. And he's a great promoter of his personal brand. And he makes sure that washes over onto everything he does. And so, when a movie producer, which is like a promoter, but just for a movie, essentially, when a producer hires him, they know they're getting a salesman. They know they're getting somebody who's going to be working hard to make that project a success. And so, it's no surprise that now somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he takes obviously he gets paid to do the movies, and he gets paid a considerable amount these days, but he's taken some on the back there, because he knows and in some cases, he's taken a very small amount at the front and taken it all on the back, because that's how much he believes in himself. And arm wrestlers need to be more like that. Arm wrestlers need to be less like this, give me, and more like, hey, I'm going to bring this to the table. I'm going to bring me. I'm going to bring my story. I'm going to bring my hype. I'm going to bring my controversy, whatever it might be. And say what you like about Ryan Bowen, and many people do, but But the reality is that Ryan Bowen, again, isn't the best arm wrestler in the world. He's not the world champion. You know, is he? He's not even necessarily in the mix. But people care about what he is doing. People care about what he's got to say. People care about Ryan Bowen's opinion. And you know, and whatever's going on in the sport of arm wrestling, in the back of most people's mind is, well, what does Ryan Bowen think about this? And that's what more people need to be in this sport. That's what these athletes need to consider, and they need to consider it before they're stars. They need to have a strategy. They can't wait to be big stars and then have a big strategy. They need to be. This is the building blocks. AWE is one of those places where an athlete can build their career. They can build their career out of the successes of AWE. We've seen that with Rickett Borman. We've seen his stratospheric rise. And that event occurred in Marcus Atirai's shed, AWE Underground, Grand Prix 1. That was in the most humble of beginnings. And Rickett Borman turned up and wasn't even, I think it was 8th seed, 7th seed. It wasn't even considered the charts. Let's face it. But his hero's journey since has now got the world of arm wrestling talking. And every time there's an event, or every time somebody, a heavyweight wins, in the back of people's minds, I wonder how Rickett Borman would have gone against him. So, and where was Rickett Borman 18 months ago? Where was he part of the conversation? No. What did he do? He turned up. He gave it his absolute best. He got offered an opportunity. He was a lowly seeded athlete amongst everybody in that shed on that day, with the exception, I think, of Marcus Atirai, had won a national championship. They were national title holders. And outside of the heavyweights, there were several others that are former national champions at lower weight categories as well. That was a shed of champions. And Rickett Borman, at the age of 20 years old, with no chance of victory, walked away from that shed with a reputation that has now catapulted him onto the stage of the biggest stages in the world. It's taken him to New York, where he's been able to prove himself against a former world number one, and now has a conversation around what he does next. This is what makes me so passionate about what we're doing at AWE, that something like that is possible. And that's what I guess annoys me most about the arrogance of some that don't take that opportunity when the opportunity is given, and feel like either, there'll just be more. And by the way, there aren't more AWEs in Australia. There aren't more opportunities. You can go to nationals and certainly win. And we completely respect everybody that goes down that path and wants to work their way through the WAFs and go to the worlds and all of that type of thing. Absolutely, more power to you. But when it comes to creating opportunities that could translate into the opportunity to compete and make arm wrestling a sport for you to make a living from one day in the not too distant future, this is it. And so we are extremely grateful and love the fact that the guys that we've invited to be part of this event, who will be here, are so ready to make this. I mean, we've got two that are traveling a very, very, very long way to be here. Why? Because they see the opportunities in front of them. They see it as a great opportunity to share their story with the world. And on top of that, they know that a victory at an AWE event is serious. This leads to something big, like much bigger. So we that's why we're so excited about 23rd of March.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it does make a difference when you ask somebody to come on the event and you just hear that excitement. They're like, "Oh, cool, yeah, no, I'm looking at flights already," and it's like, "Oh, all right, cool."
It is. It's so cool. It's so cool. Well, let's turn to the comments and see what the good people of the AWE world have to say.
Alrighty. So yeah, we've got a few people in, which is amazing. Brandon Chan has jumped in. He won the race tonight. He hello to you, Brandon. I'm not sure if he's still overseas. I think he might be. He's been over.
Brandon's been overseas in arm wrestling, different clubs. Is he in the Philippines at the moment?
Somewhere around there, Cambodia or something.
He's making his way over there and spreading the word. And what an inspirational transformation. Brandon's a big, heavy set guy. and he's been working so hard at his own fitness and longevity, and we've seen him, lose so much weight, and he's still so strong, and it's so great to see that young man be an inspiration to anybody. People should just follow Brandon Chan. They really should. He's a fantastic young man and quite the inspiration.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So he wins the race against Siren, a French McGee. Says, hello, friends. And Brandon does say, I've got your second place medal here for you, French. Lagia is in. He says, I've caught one of these lives. Very nice. Thank you, Lagia. Always good to see you in here, as well as Mr. Peanut from the Peanut Gallery, which we have established why he is Mr. Peanut now. Thank you for the lesson in history there, Mr. Peanut. Sam Wells, Kiwi Sam, he's here as well. We had a match actually last night on left arm, and I did tell him my left arm is terrible, and it was proven so. I said, it's not good. I told you I wasn't good. But, good to get on the table and have a start. The hand pink waving emoji is from the arm historian here. Yes. Fantastic. And they were commenting on the match between Bowen Cantado and Brett Coots. Anthony Marino has jumped in as well and said, epic match. What a mad show of strength and longevity. Oh, so incredible. Mariska Bornman is here. She says, that is my boy. So proud. Big things to come. Hi, gents. Yes, he was scheduled to be on the show tonight, Mariska, but work got in the way. So unfortunately, but Wednesday night we have rescheduled for.
But we do have Terence Hopperman on tomorrow night, and I am going to attempt some Afrikaans. So certainly tune in for that.
Okay. The army historian did ask a question here. Does anyone know who I best contact to train with some guys in the Philippines? I'll be over there in June. I did say Gregio would be somebody to contact, but Jacob Tuxworth has also thrown out a name of Sean Crisper. Great to see you in here as well. Jacob Tuxworth will be one of the guys competing in AWE
one of the men, one of those snatches of the opportunity is going to be there on the table.
That's right. Immediately, like, what is it? Okay, yes, I'm in.
I am in. That's what we love to see.
For sure. Marinda Korf is also here. More than
King
likely.
Borneman.
Yes, she's a fan of the Dutchman, Richard the Borneman, the Dutchman Borneman. So great to see you in here, Marinda. And Stephanie Spencer has just jumped in last minute as well. Hey guys, always good to see you, Stephanie. Thank you for your comment there. Yeah, well, 23rd of March, we are very excited. It's going to be coming up very quickly, and we can't wait to showcase all of the talent that you're going to see on this event.
That's right. You're going to be seeing some athletes that whose names you might know. You're going to be seeing some athletes who maybe you've just heard them because of this podcast or because you're familiar with the scene here in Australia. And you're going to see some top international talent from Korea, from Singapore, from Thailand. So this is a truly international event, and it is going to decide who will be the AWE middleweight champion. And of course, we've got Marika Borneman, the Dutchman, we've got a couple, the King Borneman, are some of the suggestions there. The Phenom, we are going to see him up against Brett Coots. So this is going to be exciting. And of course, the Titans Open will be taking place, and you've got the 3 weight categories, so it doesn't matter what you weigh. You are going to be welcome to join in on that. A small fee for entry, I believe. Hollywood Matt Connelly soon to be announced, so we'll have further details on that in the coming days. But it won't cost you much. You can jump on the table. You will be filmed. You will have a little keepsake there. So this will be an event that you will remember for many years to come. All on the biggest stage there is in Australia, the AWE table, will be here in Adelaide on the 23rd of March. Hollywood Matt Connelly, any further thoughts?
I think that we're very excited to see it. We'll probably finish it up there with a nice little finish of the double biceps. We're going to do it. It's in the contract. Has to happen. Got the perfect lighting for it.
It's very good lighting.
It is good lighting. I did spend quite some time trying to get that shadow to get that.
That's just right. Yeah.
was like, no, hang on, put it back a little bit.
I want to say all that time was well spent.
It's literally the ring light that I just hung over my camera.
Oh, well, Hollywood Matt Connelly, thank you very much. Again, it's always a joy to join you here on the Wrestling Tonight podcast. 5 nights a week, 5 nights a week. It is just half an hour, but it's 5 nights a week. And we'll be bringing you Terence Opperman on the podcast tomorrow night. Maybe the biggest name to have ever come out of South Africa when it comes to the sport of arm wrestling. He is an arm wrestling legend pre-COVID, post-COVID now. He is making a name for himself. Recent appearance on Arm Wars, and he'll be talking to us about that. He'll be talking to us about the old days, once considered one of the top 5 on the planet, and looking to cement that place once again. Now he is on the comeback trail and seeking to let the whole world know that Terence Opperman is a force to be dealt with. On top of that, he's going to share with us his thoughts on that rising South African star that he's recently had the opportunity to grip up with Rickard Borman. So stay tuned for that, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Thank you. We'll end it there.